Kylie Dixon, she had cancer and from 6 months she did her chemo and stuff and we needed to go to the clinic. Her mom took her out of the hospital.
I had to go get a voltage regulator. Let's put it on real quick. I'm going to pull it out, put it on, and back down. Yeah, the new truck is
It's time for her to go home. 50 minutes and count for this hearing here today. It's time for her to go home. Come on now. Go ahead. Yeah. Do you want to use this? Just don't say any bad words. Tell your mom.
Coming down to the final bit before we go in. Want to talk about any like death statistics, like how they let them cover
I can at least carry it and go walking by. Oh my God. Came up with that much hate for it. Doesn't bother me. You guys need to eat. She didn't show up until right before.
Oregon City. Let's talk about CPS and DHS. Do you guys know that when they take a child from the home, they treat him the same way that a sexual predator treats somebody he's kidnapped? Do you guys understand that when Kylie Dixon was taken from her home by the FBI, she was taken to a group home where she immediately had her ass kicked by 10 other of the group home members. She was taken out of a loving home and got jumped at the group home that the state put her in. Then she came here to Oregon, where she was sexually abused by the boyfriend of her foster mother. Oregon, do you care? Then she was isolated from her mother. Do you know what the reports say? That the mother had to remain positive in every phone call. And if Kylie tried to tell her mother anything negative, the phone call was ended. Do you know that that's the same behavior that happens when somebody is taken hostage? That they call home and they say, "Hi, Mom. I'm fine. I'm alive. Okay, bye." And they end the call. Marty McMahon kidnapped Kylie, and then when she was sexually abused, he didn't even let her call her mother. The reports say that they even kept Kylie home from school one day because the school bus driver reported she might have a phone. Do you know what happens if a parent keeps their child home from school on an unexcused absence? They can get threats and harassment from CPS for truancy. But the state will do it after they've kidnapped a child, let her be sexually abused, and then they think she might have a phone. You know what the reports say, Oregon? That they weren't concerned that Kylie might be calling friends. Their concern was that she might be communicating with her mother and her aunts. See, Kylie has 12 aunts and uncles. They're a God-fearing, amazing family. and all DHS was concerned with, all Christine Landers has been concerned with, all caseworker Marty McMahon has been concerned with, is keeping Kaylee away from her mother and her aunts and her uncles. But do you know who gets to come into court each month? Her father, who sexually assaulted her and has rape 1 charges that were just miraculously dismissed after he started working with Oregon. Oregon, do you understand that when CPS takes a child, they cut off all ties of communication to the outside world. They begin brainwashing them. Then they let them be sexually exploited for a paycheck. Oregon, this is a problem. How can we be worried about ISIS and terrorists overseas when our children are being kidnapped and kept from loving mothers? 9 months Kaylee has been in the care of CPS DHS. 9 months. She has been far more terrorized than any Muslim terrorist, any 9/11 bomber. See, they use these big things to distract us because they know that it will allow us to hand over our rights. We want to be kept safe. We need the courts. We need TSA, the FBI, the CIA. But it's a lie. These are the ones abusing our children. These are the ones that the concentration should be on at this point. If you guys read what Kaylee Dixon went through, she was taken from her home after 6 months of failed chemotherapy, forced back into the hospital for more drugs and surgery, and then DHS left her there to die, and it says it in the reports. The foster mom, who just met her 2 weeks ago, couldn't reach 1 caseworker, and this little girl was being transferred to the ICU in shock. And these caseworkers and this dirty DA didn't call the mom, didn't report the truth to the media. The Kaylee Dixon story, go read the lies that K2 and the Channel 8 have told. Successful surgery, my ass, she almost died. And the caseworkers who were collecting $110,000 a year were nowhere to be found. The caseworker who told the news, I'm her custodian now, I'm gonna make sure she's safe. He dropped her off at OHSU with a butcher and then went missing for 3 days. Literally left her to the care of the doctor, Jaffrey Mubine, who does all the surgeries on all the DHS kids, left her to his care. She was crying for her mother. She was in shock. The reports show it. Christine Landers, you know I've read the reports. You've read them too. You're all going to get your asses sued, and you know it, so do what's right. Do what's right. Release Kaylee Dixon to her mom. Drop the charges. See, then DHS and Christine Dirty Landers brings medical neglect charges on the mom because she didn't want to continue with chemotherapy. They charged the mom with medical neglect because she didn't want to continue after 6 months of failed chemotherapy and her daughter flatlining on the table. The hospital says, we can't continue right now, she's too sick. Her mom takes her home, nurses her back to health, and then what does Dr. Mubine want? Oh, let's do more chemo now. Would you do chemo after 6 months if OHSU had you flatlined and in a coma? Would you? You might. Do you want them to force you back into it? That's what they did to Kaylee Dixon. Then they forced her under the knife, where she had a 35% chance of survival. They didn't even notify the mother. The CPS worker was nowhere to be found. Isn't that child neglect? Yet that's the charges that are on Christine Dixon. Dismiss the charges on Christine Dixon, Christine Landers. You know it's the right thing to do. You want custodial interference? Charges? Bring those against Marty McMahon for abandoning Kaylee at the hospital. You know those charges are coming anyway. Why don't you do what's right, Christine? We're all out here watching. You can do what's right, and you can make this little girl's nightmare go away today.
Amen.
You can do something up there, you who are listening. Every one of you in this building can speak truth. Christine can resign, or she can repent. It's up between her and God which one she chooses. She could even do both. But if she resigns,
sure it was on.
Another wicked tyrant will rise up in her place. So Christine, why don't you repent and do the right thing? Why don't you let Kaylee go home and drop the charges on her mother? Charges are coming against you guys anyway. Maybe you can do something right before those court hearings start. For child neglect,
If you can't
for kidnapping, for leaving Kaylee in the ICU by herself without anybody to even direct the doctors on what they should do as she was going into shock. See, the judge here did what was right and said that Kylie's mom was to be with her before and after the surgery, and she believed that meant she'd be with her as much as possible. But caseworker Marty McMahon decided not to call the mom. Why? He said a security risk. Well, hell yeah, when you kidnap a child and cut into her, you might have a security risk. You might have one pissed off mom at the front doors looking for her daughter.
That's right.
Is that not a worthy security risk? Marty McMahon is a criminal. Marty McMahon child traffics, sex traffics children. We're here to expose that. And right now, Christine Landers, you can make it all go away. You can do what's right. You can sleep better tonight knowing that you haven't continued in wickedness, in kidnapping, in false charges, bringing slander and false charge against Christine Dixon, a loving mother who's never harmed her child. She never even let her flatline like Dr. Mubin did at the hospital. It's time to drop the charges, Christine Landers, and we're going to be the thorn in your side until you do. I hope you take this to trial, because there's no way in hell a jury is going to convict Christine Dixon with the evidence we have against you. You guys were working with the hospital. You were working with the hospital when she was on chemo, and the records show that mother had every right to be afraid for her child's safety. No jury is going to convict her, Christine. You know it. You know they are not going to convict her, but I hope you do take it to trial. I hope you don't offer her some plea bargain misdemeanor thinking she'll take that, because she won't. Do what's right and let her go. This is not going to go away. You've got too much negative publicity. Christine Dixon's voice is too loud. She's too principled, and her supporters will not go away. We will be a thorn in your side. Drop the charges, Christine Landers.
Gotta go home.
Awesome.
Reunite.
She is awesome.
Reunite.
Defund CPS. Disband CPS. Church, rise up. If your neighbor's in need, take care of the kids. Quit calling CPS. Church, be there for your neighbor. If somebody's getting beat up, go help them. Quit calling 911. Be 911. Be CPS. That's what we're called to do. That's who we were as a country. Before we pawned everything out to government agencies that fatten their pocketbooks and abuse the people. You know what 911 does to your enemy? Locks them in a cage for months and months, and you know what happens after that? They get released. They get released. There is no justice to the victims in our system. 2.4 million people are sitting in jail. Do you know I don't wish jail on my worst enemy, because it does nothing to correct the mistakes that person did, and it pays zero restitution to the victim. That's why things don't change. We've got to get involved in our communities. We've got to start dealing with people to a certain extent on our own, instead of calling 911. It's not working. CPS is not working. The children are being trafficked, and we're letting it happen, and we're paying for it. It's time to stand up, America, and do what we are called to do, and quit abdicating our responsibilities to these tyrants. It's not working.
Amen.